Hello there, good morning. We are from 12th group. Today's presentation we're going to talk about integrated teaching strategy. But first, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Ana Agung Aina Fitrenanda as the first speaker, and then Krishna Ariwibawa as the second speaker. But before we talk about today's materials, let's take a look to the scope of today's presentation. First, we're going to talk about definition of integrated teaching strategy. Second, we're going to talk about the aims of integrated teaching strategy. Third, we're going to talk about its characteristics. Fourth, we're going to talk about the implementation of integrated teaching strategy. Next, we have the strengths and the weaknesses of integrated teaching strategy. And at the end of the presentation, there will be a conclusion. So, first thing first, let's talk about the definition of integrated teaching strategy. So, what is integrated teaching strategy? According to Part 2017, integrated skills approach is a teaching strategy which incorporates 4 English skills in it, consisting of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. This approach presents all language skills in conjunction with each other so that the learners do not only know the language they are learning, but also are able to use it in natural communication. This approach is one of an effective approach to develop students' communicative competency and the ability to use English to gain access to social, vocational, educational, or professional opportunities. According to Brown 2001 et al., it seeks to teach language as a means of communication to serve the purpose it was originally created for, which can be motivating and realistic as well. So, from the definitions, it can be concluded that language teaching was actually aimed to help the students master the language elements and learn the rules regulating on how these elements combine, like to create phrases and sentences, be able to involve in everyday communication, like in the authentic interaction or communication, and etc. Therefore, integrated skills approach is a series of activities or tasks in the learning process which use any combination of the 4 skills in continuous and related sequence, and it should be learned interactively because one skills can reinforce another in various ways, so that the learners do not only know the language they are learning, but also are able to use it in natural communication and making connections among learning concepts and their life experiences so that the information and skills can be applied in real-world issues or problems. And the second point is about the aims of integrated teaching strategy. So, according to Hinkel 2010 in Part 2017, integrated language skills teaching models aiming to develop learners' fluency and accuracy as well as their social, cultural, communicative competency, where it focuses on making connection for students, allowing them to engage in relevant, meaningful activities that can be connected to real life. So in order to attain this, adapting the language from context to context and from genre to genre are required. Okay, let's take a look for the first example. In case of daily conversation, for the example, students will use at least 2 English skills to be applied when they do it, namely listening skills and speaking skills. So, to be engaged in real-world communication, students are prepared to be able to face this kind of activity in terms of daily conversations in the society life Well, by implementing this kind of teaching strategy called integrated skills teaching strategy. And the second, another example, for the example is in the classroom situation. The lecturer and the students read the slides previously written. The lecturer provides explanations through speaking while listening to the lecturer. The students also take their own notes. Then, in the questions and answer session, the student and the lecturer listen and speak in turn. Realizing this, to enable students to use the language they are learning in real communication, these skills should be learned in an integrative approach. It's according to Pardede 2017. Okay, the third point is about its characteristic. The characteristic of integrated teaching strategy. So according to Hallmark 2020, there are several characteristics of integrated skills teaching strategy. Namely, first, it focuses on problem solving. When the teachers want to apply this strategy, they will use such an authentic assessment to prepare the students to be able to face the real world situation where it involving on students' experiences, so they can get such a meaningful learning. Second, integrated learning explores and uses information effectively. Third, it enables students to integrate ideas and experiences and apply them to formulate new learning situations. So, the language skills integration enables students to learn and manage the language, also to easily transfer the knowledge of the other areas. So it promotes language learning and evaluates new language knowledge of learner positively. Fourth, creativity, adaptivity, critical reasoning, and collaboration are the key features of integrated learning. So in this case, the student will be prepared by doing problem solving, which encourage them to be more creative and critical during the learning process, to be able to apply it in a real world problems. And the last, the method of learning accommodates have a variety of learning styles, theories, and multiple intelligences. So of course, because the strategy involving at least 2 or more English skills to be integrated, so there will be variety of learning activity that will be conducted in the classroom. So the fourth point is about the implementation of integrated teaching strategy. According to Constitution 2018, to integrate the 4 English skills, it can be done by referring to the receptive skills such as listening and reading skills, nor productive skills such as speaking and writing. And according to Cohen 1990 and Burgess 1994, in Pardede 2017, the integration can be realized by exposing the learners with a body of information from enjoyable, authentic facts, videos, music, magazines they read, watch, or listen to, and later asking them to reproduce at least some of its content orally or in written language. Therefore, perhaps the easiest way to start the integrated skill is in the learning process at the class is by combining the receptive and productive skills which are used across the same medium. While here I will provide example of learning activity which combines 2 English skills in it according to Constitution 2018. The combination between listening and speaking skills, it's called telephone, or it quite similar with whisper games. So, first, put students into groups and tell them to sit in a circles. And then nominate students to think of a sentence so it ideally related to the what material have been doing in the class. And then have them whisper their sentence to the next person in the circles who must listen and repeat what they heard to the person next to them. This continue until they reach the final person in the group. The last person then has to say out loud what they thought they heard. Finally, ask the first person what their original sentence was, and write both on the board and compare between them. So, that's all from me. The next presentation will be presented by my friends. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Putu Krishna Aribawa. I'm from 5D class. Now I would like to continue the presentation. The implementation of integrated teaching strategy. In this case, according to Nunan 1989, integrated skill teaching is differentiated into two types, which is possible to use as an alternative strategy, namely content-based language teaching. Content-based language teaching, students practice language skill while engaging with activities focusing on a specific object. And then the content-based language teaching, the main object is to develop students to communicative competence in the target language. And the second, the goal is students' mastery of content knowledge of the subject that the students already learn. In content-based language teaching have two types that refers to things. The first is the function or the communicative purpose for which students use the target language. For example, making introduction, invitation, greeting, interviewing, and etc. The second is the use of subjects matter for foreign language teaching purpose. In the content-based language teaching, a topic or a theme of the subject matter is employed as a basic to unify language skill. It related to the common topic or theme that learn. The second type of alternative teaching strategy is text-based language teaching. It means students are involved in activities requiring comprehending, producing, manipulating, or interacting in authentic language, while attention is particularly oriented to meaning rather than form. In text-based language teaching, to let the students develop their language skill, they are allowed to work together in pairs or in group to solve a problem, complete the text, create a product, and etc. Therefore, learning takes place through social activity. It is structured with a cooperative learning technique. For instance, students collaborative to criticize a poem, analyze a short story, and etc. While doing the text, they should communicative in the target language, for example, English. In addition, these texts also serve a glue to relate the language skill to learner background, goal, culture, and language competence. There are two types of learning text that teacher could use to integrate language skill. The first is pedagogic or academic. It refers to the text that can stimulate second language learning process. Information gaps text, problem solving text, jigsaw text, and etc. These texts require to students to engage in text which they are may not get involved in the outside of the classroom activity. And the second is real or actual word text. It refers to the text that identified via the students need to analyze and to take it into a classroom to facilitate language development where the text may be in form of making a presentation or reporting a survey that directly related to their needs for text in real world. They are the trends of integrated teaching strategy. According to Carlos 1990 and Pardidi 2017, there are several advantages or strengths of integrated skill teaching. The first is it supports both learners and teachers because it inspires teachers to vary the learning activity. On the other hand, it helps learners to use the language they learn freely, fluidly, and naturally. And the second is skills integration provides continuity in teaching learning because in this approach related to each other which enables teacher to enrich classroom instruction by integrating language skill cooperatively. The third is it provides realistic learning by allowing the skill integration for the development of four skills itself with a realistic communicative framework. And the fourth is it provides chance to know and apply the language learned by students in different contexts. Also, it can be valuable for motivation because it allows for reaxically and reflection of language which already teach. The five is skill integration increase confidence to wake a weaker or less confident learner because in this strategy, the skill is are not learned in isolation but in form of combination. So if there is students who have lack of confidence in speaking skill, they can also show their ability in other skill like in writing, for instance. Another advantages or strengths according to PADD 2017 in various current studies say that the first is improve students' ability to express themselves and take greater risks in using the language and effectively increase learning outcomes. The second is, in addition, according to Considine 2018, integrating skill can help students transfer skills. For instance, if students have to read a blog post before writing their own thinking, they become familiar with the structures and context, which will help them write it. And last is also according to KBD 2013 in Part D 2017, it provides student-centered and humanistic approach to language teaching in classroom. Next is according to Mezzani 2017, there are several disadvantages or weakness of integrated teaching strategy. The first is teachers is lack of time to plan effective units in order to combine the skill which prefer to use in learning activity. And the second is sometimes teachers are reluctant to put the time and effort to change what they already do in the classroom to redesign the previous implementation if there is improper activity, not maybe the learning activity is not graduated to a good result. So, in the conclusion, integrated teaching strategy is a kind of teaching approach where there is a series of activity in learning process which combines two or more English skills that should be learned interactively so that the learners can be applied in real world situation. It is making connection for students, allowing them to engage in irrelevant, meaningful activities they can be connect to real life, for instance to apply in daily conversation and etc. This strategy can create a positive and collaborative learning environment, prepare the students to face the real world issue, and also because this strategy implemented with the problem solving text, the students can develop their higher level thinking skill, can be more creative. That is our presentation about integrated teaching strategy. If we are made a mistake, please forgive us. We are still learning and practice. I hope you understand this presentation video and I hope you can understand my explanation and my friend explanation and thank you for watching. See you and goodbye.